David Boies, you might know that name. He is a super lawyer, of course. He prosecuted Microsoft for the Justice Department back in the 90s. He represented Al Gore at the Supreme Court over the Florida recount. And these days, he's defending both Barclays in the suit by the Lehman Brothers estate and Goldman Sachs in the Timberwolf CDO case. I caught up with David Boies yesterday and asked him about another big issue, one with plenty of complex legal angles, the BP oil spill, and how President Obama has handled it.
The way it happened is something that, while it's understandable politically, I think it's got to give anybody a little bit of a pause. I think everybody was cheered to see the president sort of taking on the company that everybody blamed for this terrible environmental disaster. But there is a role for the rule of law, even in cases where everybody is very mad. In fact, I think you can make an argument that the most important role of the rule of law is where everybody is really mad at some group, somebody, some company. And I think that in the effort to find a quick solution, I think there was perhaps not as much attention given to the rule of law as might have been desirable. I'd like to think that BP would have stepped up to it anyway. And I actually think the way it's working out is the right way for it to have worked out. But I think there is always a problem when you see a defendant, no matter what you think about the defendant and the defendant's actions, being sort of clubbed into this as opposed to going through the judicial process.
Well, already the president's ban on deepwater drilling, the moratorium on deepwater drilling, has been overturned by a federal judge. How much of the rest of the administration's approach might be on shaky legal ground?
I don't think very much, and I think that ban's going to be reinstated. Now, it may be more limited, and it may have a more robust justification for it, because this ban was put in emergency circumstances, and they didn't have the time to do as thorough an analysis as they might have. But I think that the idea of some kind of moratorium, while we figure out what the dangers are and how to deal with those dangers, is probably the right thing to do. And I think that I think you will see
legally justified.
Legally justified. And what the judge ruled, the judge didn't rule that you couldn't have a ban. What the judge ruled was this particular ban and the breadth of this particular ban had not been justified by the record that had been made by the administration. And so the administration now has an opportunity either to narrow the ban or to expand the basis for it, or maybe just to defend it the way it was. And I think in one of those areas you will find some version of this ban coming back.